structures believed to house EMP-shielded communications arrays. A circular testing ground measuring 800 meters in diameter, possibly for drone swarm exercises. The site's western edge shows evidence of a 2-kilometer runway, though its purpose remains unclear given Beijing's existing airports. China's leadership under Xi Jinping has openly accelerated military modernization, aiming to transform the People's Liberation Army into a world-class force by 2027. That year marks the PLA's 100th anniversary, and sources within the U.S. Department of Defense confirm Beijing wants full readiness to seize Taiwan by then, if necessary. But why build a facility 10 times the size of the Pentagon? And what does it tell us about China's vision of global power? The answer lies in 3 factors: Taiwan, nuclear strategy, and a fundamental shift in how China plans to wage war. This base isn't just a command center. Satellite analysts have identified reinforced underground bunkers, drone testing fields, and communication systems designed to survive electromagnetic pulses. All signs of preparation for high-intensity conflict. However you judge China's capabilities, the scale of this project reveals their ambition. Let's get closer. This is what 1,500 acres of military ambition looks like. The Beijing military city isn't just big, it redefines what a military base can be. To grasp its scale, picture 10 pentagons side by side. Now bury half of them underground. That's what China's building here, and they're doing it at a pace that's left analysts stunned. In 1943, the United States constructed the Pentagon in just 16 months. Recently, satellite images revealed China excavating 30 meters deep in a mere 6 weeks. Over 100 cranes are operating daily at the site, illuminated 24/7, making it visible from space. Unlike China's struggling housing projects, this site receives priority access to concrete, steel, and labor. The Chinese government has not publicly acknowledged the project, but U.S. intelligence confirms its military purpose through thermal signatures matching underground power grids and ventilation systems designed for prolonged occupation. Location is everything. The base sits 30 kilometers southwest of Tiananmen Square, tucked behind the Taihang Mountains. Those peaks block seismic sensors from detecting underground activity. This location also places it outside the immediate blast radius of tactical nuclear strikes on central Beijing, while remaining close enough for political oversight. Helicopters can reach Xi Jinping's compound in 18 minutes. Fiber optic cables buried here link directly to the PLA's Northern Theater Command in Jinan. During a crisis, China's leadership could relocate here in under an hour.
I dare you to let me build you a completely free e-commerce store on the Shopify platform in the next 20 minutes and see if it's free. Because, well, it is free.
Under an hour. That's faster than during Cold War drills. The mountains provide a second advantage. They're granite. Granite absorbs shockwaves, making bunkers underneath 40% more survivable against bunker-busting bombs like the US GBU-57. 3 technologies make this base unique. First, nuclear survivability. The deepest bunkers use steel concrete walls alternating with polymer gel layers, a design that dissipates blast energy like a car bumper. Second, EMP resistance. Power lines run through liquid nitrogen-cooled pipes, a trick borrowed from China's quantum labs. Third, AI and drone integration. Last July, 1,200 AI-piloted drones launched from here mapped Taiwan's defenses in a simulated strike. But do you notice what's missing? No massive barracks, no tank depots? That's the point, because this is not a troop base, it's a command brain. A place where generals can fight a war from underground while drones and missiles do the work above. Whether that's genius or overkill depends on who you ask. But one thing's clear, China's betting billions that this is the future of warfare. But why would China invest billions in a base this massive? 2 reasons: nuclear survival and a military overhaul decades in the making. Let's start with the most urgent: nuclear survival. China has roughly 500 nuclear warheads today, a fraction of America's 5,000. But the Pentagon warns that number could triple by 2035. More nukes mean more risk of being targeted first in a conflict. Hence, the 30-meter deep bunkers and EMP shielding we saw earlier. This isn't new. During the 1969 Sino-Soviet border clashes, Mao Zedong hid in bunkers outside Beijing, fearing Soviet nukes. Today's leaders face similar fears, but with better tech. The base's ventilation systems can filter radiation for 90 days. Its hydroponic farms could feed 10,000 people indefinitely. It's a doomsday arc for China's political elite. Problem 2. Outdated systems. The PLA has long been a fragmented force. Army, Navy, Air Force all competing for resources. Xi Jinping's solution? Centralize everything. This base merges command structures for cyber, space, and special forces under one roof. A leaked 2023 PLA memo spells it out. By 2027, all theater commands must achieve seamless integration with Beijing HQ. Which means no more rogue generals, no more miscommunications. Every missile launch, every cyber attack gets approved from this bunker. This base lets China project power while shielding its leaders from retaliation. Whether that prevents war or invites it, well, that's what we'll explore next. China's military ambitions aren't confined to its borders. While the Beijing base dominates headlines, smaller outposts are quietly emerging worldwide. Let's start with Djibouti, China's first overseas military foothold. Opened in 2017, this $590 million facility sits at the choke point between the Red Sea and Indian Ocean. Officially, it's a logistical hub for anti-piracy missions. But satellite images show underground bunkers spanning 23,000 square meters, large enough to store missiles or drones. Djibouti's strategic significance lies in its control. Within a 500-kilometer radius, there are military bases from 5 different nations, including the United States Camp Lemonnier. China's presence in Djibouti allows it to monitor U.S. operations in real time. Last year, the PLA upgraded the pier at their base to accommodate aircraft carriers, signaling long-term intentions. Now shift to Central Asia. At 13,000 feet in Tajikistan's Pamir Mountains, China built a base so secret its existence wasn't confirmed until 2024. Satellite images reveal helipads, surveillance towers, and barracks for 300 troops, all within 12 kilometers of Afghanistan's volatile Wakhan corridor. Tajikistan's government claims this is a counter-terrorism site, but leaked documents show China negotiated full ownership in exchange for canceling $1.2 billion in Tajik debt. The base overlooks a critical Belt and Road route into Afghanistan and positions China to strike Taliban factions threatening its Xinjiang investments. The most alarming expansion? The Atlantic. Since 2023, China has been pursuing a naval base in Equatorial Guinea's port city of Bata. But why there? Bata faces the Gulf of Guinea, where 30% of Europe's oil imports pass. A Chinese base here would flank U.S. military hubs in Virginia and Spain. Equatorial Guinea denies negotiations, but U.S. intelligence confirms talks. The proposed facility could house aircraft carriers and hypersonic missile launchers, a direct challenge to NATO's southern flank. For context, China's Djibouti base has a 400-meter runway. Bata's docks can handle ships twice that size. China's bases are still dwarfed by America's 750 overseas installations. But Beijing prioritizes quality over quantity. Each base plugs into a specific strategy. Djibouti, disrupt Western oil routes. Tajikistan, secure Central Asian mineral exports. Bata, project power into the Atlantic. And there's a pattern. All host nations owe China billions through Belt and Road loans. When Sri Lanka couldn't pay its debts in 2022, China took over Hambantota port. Now, with 22 African countries in debt distress, more bases may follow. This isn't random expansion. The Beijing military city acts as the central hub, analyzing data from Djibouti's radars, Tajikistan's border sensors, and Atlantic spy ships. Together, they form a surveillance web spanning 3 continents, and Xi Jinping's vision of a military equal to America's. So, how is the world responding to China's new command center? Let's start with Washington. In March 2025, the Pentagon released a 200-page report with one standout conclusion. China's nuclear and conventional forces are growing faster than any U.S. war game predicted. But here's where opinions split. Is this a threat or a deterrence? Retired Admiral Philip Davidson, who led U.S. Pacific Command until 2021, warns the Beijing base gives China escalation dominance, the ability to strike first and survive retaliation. His evidence? The base's 30-meter-deep bunkers match U.S. estimates for surviving a 500-kiloton nuclear blast. But not everyone agrees. MIT security expert M. Taylor Fravel argues China's buildup is defensive, aimed at countering America's 11 aircraft carriers and 5,000 nukes. For Taiwan, the calculus is urgent. 92% of the world's advanced microchips come from TSMC in Taiwan. If China blockades the island, automakers could lose $80 billion in 30 days. Taiwan's response? Underground silicon shield factories and a new missile program aiming for 1,000 anti-ship rockets by 2026. But TSMC's chairman admitted last month, no technology can stop a determined invasion. Japan is not waiting to find out. In 2024, they doubled defense spending to $55 billion, deploying missiles on Okinawa's islands, just 110 kilometers from Taiwan. The Philippines, after years of hesitation, granted the U.S. access to 9 military bases facing the South China Sea. India accelerated border roads near Tibet, where Chinese forces clashed with Indian troops in 2020. Europe faces a dilemma. NATO's 2025 summit declaration called China a systemic challenge, but allocated no new Pacific troops. Why? Russia's war in Ukraine still demands 85% of NATO's combat-ready forces. France's president summed it up bluntly, "We can't fight 2 Cold Wars at once." The Beijing Military City is not just a base, it's a statement. For decades, America's global network of 750 bases went unchallenged. Now, China's proving it can match that reach, not through sheer numbers, but with scale, secrecy, and next-gen tech. The question is not whether this changes the balance of power. It's how. What comes next depends on choices made in capitals and those sealed tunnels in the years ahead. So what do you think? Let us know in the comments.